Okay, so in the next phase, what I want to do is talk about CSS. So let me just pause this video, and then I'm going to probably break this up into the merging and stuff. This is probably going to be a 2 video. I think the CSS style should only take about 5 minutes. So in all, it'll be 2 videos broken up in half. If you want to just see all the different rows, I've aligned my table now on the schedule so that you can see the first 3 rows on the left, the next 3 rows on the right. And there's not enough room to show it all, but this should at least give you a sample. So this is the same table on both windows. It's just you're looking at a different region of the table. So you can pause it here if you want to look at the code. Okay, we've got our advanced table with merges and stuff. Now it's time to do a little styling. Okay, first of all, you probably want to style your caption because that looks pretty boring. Okay, so make sure you've done that. Okay, now a couple things you can do on the caption. You can style it like you would normally style it, like font size, for example. And you'd put it like 1.2 EM. Make it, that's basically 120% of its standard size. And you can do a font weight of bold. And you can italicize. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. And just as a reminder, this is what it looks like. There's our caption now. It's getting a little bigger. It's looking a little closer to a caption. And what if we want to caption it and move it underneath? Let me show you how to do that. Okay, if you want to move your caption to the bottom, you're going to use a thing called Caption Side. And you can do bottom or you can do top. Top is default, so if you're ever going to style it, and who's doing that little noise there? I can hear that, by the way. Look, my caption's on the bottom now. So Caption Side allows you to move it to the top or the bottom. Like I said, by default, it's at the top. So now I've moved it down to the bottom of the table. And that's about all we can do. I mean, we can do other stylings of caption, but you know, at this point, you know a lot about your CSS. So we're going to focus on a few other things. Next thing I want to do is, let me show you another little technique I like. And it's the hover pseudo selector. Watch this. If I do TR and I put hover, and I put my style here, guess what we can do? We can take it so when we hover over the table row, we can have it change the background color. So earlier on our table rows, we had our table rows. Did we even style? We didn't. So let's go ahead and style the background color. And we'll use the hexadecimal for now. And then we'll put 336699, save our changes. Now watch the table when I do this. When I hover, we do have an issue here, right? Because these do have an issue over here. So one of the things you may want to do is, well, you figure out how you want to do this. But at least you can do that hover effect, and you know how. Basically, with CSS3, almost any tag you can target and put a :hover, you can allow it to create that hover effect. Okay. Next, we have some columns here. Okay. We have 5 different columns on our table. And what if we wanted to make all the left-hand column be one color? Or you wanted to have certain table rows like alternate in their color. One of the things you can do, one thing I recommend is, let's say we're going to do this table row here, and this is day 1, this table row is day 2. Well, why don't we add a class? I heard that too. Okay, so this one, we could put day 1, class of day 1. Next one, I can do class of day 2. By the way, maybe I'm just paranoid. I don't know. But I am hearing noises. Oh, it is? Okay. That's all right.
It's for science, so it's okay.
All right. So notice how I'm going to, every other one is a day 1, or everyone's a day, you alternate between a class of day 1, a class of day 2. See how I put all those into my rows? And now what I can do is I can put a tr.day1 and then let's do one of gray. And now we can see our table rows. And of course, when we merged those cells on the period, that really messed things up, didn't it? And that gray is way too dark. So what we'll do is we'll do a hexadecimal code, and we'll do like beep, 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 beep. Save our changes, hit refresh. It's a little bit lighter. Okay. Now what's kind of interesting is the table, the hover only seems to work on these rows that don't have that applied. So just understand with everything you do, when you do merges, you might actually cause some issues here and there. Okay? But now we can do hovers. We can alternate the ways each different TR works by adding a class. Another thing I want to show you is columns. What if we want to have all the left-hand column look one way and maybe or every other column look a certain way? What we can do is we have to add 2 new types of tags. They are call group and call. They would go after the caption, because remember the caption has to come right after you open the table. And you would write call group. And you better close it. Don't forget to close it. And inside of your call group, you're going to create a column. Okay, you need to account for all of your columns. And so what we can do here is we can put a column and we can give it a class day. And then we can do another column, and we can do this class. Actually, the first class would be period. Next one could be day. Or you can just leave it out and not do it. The other thing is, since in my class I have everyone doing sort of an XHTML flavor of HTML5, where we make sure we close every single tag. One of the things is this is a self-closing tag. This is like the break tag or the HR tag. And so you might want to, or the image tag. So to be consistent, I'm going to put this syntax in. Part of this is because I teach WordPress. Part of it's because I just like to make sure I do that. The other thing is you can give each one its own class, or you could even do a call span. And if we have, how many columns? We have 5. We can do a call span of 4. And then we can target this one uniquely, and this one will cover everything else. But you could theoretically have a column, each one with a different class for all the columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to style this particular call with the class of period right here. We're going to put dot period. And we're going to change the background color. And on this background color, we'll put an EEE. Sorry, we'll do 3 E's. We could do 6 E's. Same thing goes for all the B's. We can just give it 3. Save our changes. Hit refresh. And now, interestingly enough, the only one that changed is this one here. And that's because when you style your columns, anything else will take precedent over it. So what we would want to do is we would want to probably not have this and this. So I'm just going to delete this temporarily just to show you what that looks like. And at this point now, all of my left-hand column has that light gray. So that's the other thing you kind of have to be careful about when you do your column groups. The other thing, too, is that you can adjust color, background color, and you can add border, and that's like it. There's not much else you can do. So be warned, that may cause some issues you don't like. But at this point now, I showed you how you can style up your columns. I showed you how you can make it so different days look different ways. But just understand, those merges will affect the hover effect. So one thing you could do is you could try to make the hover effect be sort of the same color as the column. So on hover, I could change that to B's. Save my changes. Actually, I wanted it to be all E's. Hit refresh. And now if I highlight that, there you go. The last thing I want to do is I want to show you just another sample from W3 Schools. And if you look on here, what they're doing is they're styling one row at the top, and then every alternate row gets a different style. And what they did here, guys, is you'll see here, TRs in the class of alt will get that greenish background. All other TRs are normal. And then this TR, we just style the THs to have these colors here. Okay. And the last thing I want to say, guys, is you'll notice this kind of styling works better with non-merged cells in our first rows. And so just understand, you've got a lot of options, but the moment you start merging, you can create new problems. So good luck with that.
Well, I mean, even if it's a merged